book lovers, my name is Victoria and welcome to My Booksareme. I'm going to be continuing on today with my book haul, and this one is of my Penguin 80 Little Black Classics. And the reason why I didn't really include them in my main book haul or my book haul count this month is because it kind of feels weird concluding like these little books as 15 individual books. And I kind of didn't really feel like including them just because of the nature of their book. And to be honest, I don't really want to say I went over my 10 book limit. You know what I mean? I just want to say I'm not being sponsored by Penguin to talk about these books in a separate video. This is my decision to do it. Penguin is not involved, although if they want to be, I wouldn't have a problem with that. So let me show you what I got. Obviously the most logical way to do this would be going in numerical order, and the first book I got is number 15, and that is Femme Fatale by Guy de Maupassant. For sparkling 19th century tales of Parisian high society and rural life from the father of the modern short story. And apart from Femme Fatale, this also includes, when I get to the page, Cockcrow, Hatut and Son, and Laid to Rest. And I have never heard of any of them. I mean, I've kind of heard of Femme Fatale, and not because Britney Spears called her album Femme Fatale, or was it a perfume? Britney Spears used Femme Fatale for something. But I've never really known what the actual original Femme Fatale was, so I'm interested to read this and the other short stories in here. The next book is number 17, and that is Caligula by Suetonius. The original biography of the murderous, crazed, and incestuous Roman Emperor Caligula, who pronounced himself a god. And I've always sort of known about Caligula, but not really what he's done. I've been studying history since I was in year 7, and I'm now in my second year of university. But it was only in year 10 that I was doing elective history, and when we were doing like history skills and stuff like that, and learning how to use these different skills for analysis of sources and stuff, it was always sources about Caligula, and I never really knew what was going on. Like, I knew he was an important person in history, but I never really knew why. So it'd be interesting to read like the original source for Caligula, and I'm excited to read it. The next book I got is number 19, and that is Olalla by Robert Louis Stevenson. Stevenson's chilling Victorian Gothic novella about decaying aristocracy, vampirism, and tormented love. And I hadn't heard anything about this beforehand, but the blurb sounded really interesting, so hopefully I will enjoy it. It sounds interesting. The next one I got is number 23, and that is The Tinderbox by Hans Christian Andersen. Andersen's bittersweet fairy tales propelled their troubled author to international fame and revolutionised children's writing. And apart from the Tinderbox, it also contains Little Claus, Big Claus, The Princess and the Pea, The Steadfast Tin Soldier, The Nightingale, and The Red Shoes. And I'm afraid to say that out of all the stories in this book, I've only ever read or at least heard of 2 of them. Like, I haven't even heard of the Tinderbox. And it's really weird that I actually bought this, considering I think I own 2 or 3 books that have the near complete collection of Hans Christian Andersen work. But hey, it was $2 and it'll make me read them. The next book I got is number 39, and that is The Old Nurse Astoria by Elizabeth Gaskell. A ghostly child roams the Northumberland moors while fairy tale characters gather at a strange party in these 2 Victorian Gothic tales. And apart from the old nurse's story, it also contains Curious If True. And the main reason I got this was simply because of the summary about the ghostly child roaming the Northumberland moors, which I think sounded really interesting, and I really want to read about it. So hopefully it's really good. The next book I got is number 42, and that is The Yellow Wallpaper by Charlotte Perkins Gilman. This horrifying semi-autobiographical feminist story of imprisonment and madness scandalised 19th century society. And apart from The Yellow Wallpaper, this also contains The Rocking Chair and Old Water. And I've actually already read this. I read this for the Dewey's 24-hour readathon. I read the whole thing and it was quite interesting. And I'd actually already read The Yellow Wallpaper before. I read it back in high school. For some reason it was referenced in something we were actually studying, and we decided to read it. And it was quite chilling and deep and dark and twisty and sort of confronting. It was quite a good read. And the other 2 books in here were quite good as well. So I suggest you pick this up if you're sort of interested. I don't know. The next book I got is number 49, and that is The Figure in the Carpet by Henry James. James's troubling late Victorian mystery of an unsolved literary riddle and sudden death has inspired endless speculation. And again, I had no idea what this was about before I bought it. I picked it up simply because of the summary, so I'm excited to see what is going on in this little book. The next book I got is number 50, and that is Anthem for Doomed Youth by Wilfred Owen. The great First World War poet portrays firsthand the horror, devastation and futility of the trenches. And this contains, I think it was 27 or 37 of his poems, and I'm not entirely sure if that is his complete work or if it's just a really good selection of it. Either way, it's a good selection of his poems. I've actually already studied Wilfred Owen before. Back in high school we had to study, I think it was like 6 of his poems, and it was quite eye-opening about the experiences of being on the Western Front and all that. And it was quite, he doesn't glorify war, it's quite, you know, it's the truth. He's literally stating what happens. And I read, since I got this book, I think I've read probably a quarter of it, and they were some of his other poems that I hadn't heard of before, so it was quite good. So if you're sort of into poetry and war stuff, this is definitely a good book. The next book I got is number 54, and that is Bad Be Fela by an unknown author. Adventures of shipwreck, colossal beasts and fantastical islands from 1001 Nights. And I actually didn't know Sinbad was part of Arabian Nights before I picked this up. I got the DVD of Sinbad like several years ago, and at the time it wasn't really interesting to me because I hadn't heard of it and it wasn't Disney, so why would I like it? But a couple of years ago, like within the last maybe 2 years, I watched it and it was really good, and I did kind of look it up and realized it was based off a story. And when I found this, I thought, yay, I can read the original story and see what's going on. And also I really want to read Arabian Nights, although it is quite a chunky text, so hopefully this will be a good starter and ease me into that by the time I eventually get the actual Arabian Nights. The next book I got is number 61, and that is The Dolphins, the Whales and the Gudgeon by Aesop. Composed by a slave in Greek antiquity, some of the most ancient, sharp-witted and mysterious stories ever told. And this is literally just like page-long short stories about all different things, like all really weird different things. I don't know, it sounded really interesting when I picked it up. Mainly the whole Greek antiquity thing appealed to me because I really like ancient Greek history, so it'd be interesting to see what they thought back then. The next book I got is number 65, and that is The Voyage of Sir Francis Drake Around the Whole Globe by Richard Hakluyt. The great propagandist for Tudor sea power depicts the voyages of the famed explorers who mapped the world. And the only reason why I got this is because it's Tudor stuff, and I'm a Tudorist, so it should be a good read. The next book I got is number 70, and that is Circe and the Cyclops by Homer. Ancient Greek myths from the Odyssey telling of battles with deadly beasts and a beautiful enchantress. I actually want to read the Odyssey and the Iliad, the Odyssey more so because I think it's apparently better than the Iliad, I'm not quite sure. So this will be my first little taste at that, so hopefully I enjoy it so that I can read the rest of the book. The next book I got is number 73, and that is The Fall of Icarus by Ovid. Enduring myths of vengeful gods and tragically flawed mortals from ancient Rome's great poet. Now, I'm sure we kind of all know about Icarus. He was the guy who, along with his friend or his father, escaped from like a Greek island from imprisonment or something because they made wings with feathers or something and honey, and Icarus flew too close to the sun and the honey melted and he fell to his death. Something like that. That's literally like the barest of cliff notes. So I really want to read like what the original tale, I think this is the original tale of Icarus. I really want to know like what this bit's about, but it should be very interesting. And finally, the last Penguin 80 Little Black Classic I got was number 78, and that is The Madness of Cambyses by Herodotus. Weaving factual account with colourful myth, the father of history tells of the psychotic Persian king and his fateful death. I've actually already read quite a bit of Herodotus's histories because I've studied the Persian and Greek wars, and this Cambyses actually came just a bit before the Persian wars, so it's sort of kind of, I think, will flow on, and it should be quite interesting because I do kind of like how Herodotus tells his history. So they are all 15 of my Little Black Classics. There are a couple more books in this series that I do want to get, so by the time I get them I'll probably have 20 of them, and I don't know whether I'll go all out and get the whole 80 at the moment. Most of them are sort of ones I don't really think I like, or at least I'm not liking at the moment, so I might get them down the track. I really like this. There's a good selection of different works, from histories to mythology to poetry and short story and bit of everything really, and different areas in writing. So it's a good selection, and I mean, I've already read one of them, like 14, one down, 14 to go. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed this, if you haven't already, I will link below to my other book haul where I go over 8 books that I bought this month. Other than that, make sure you subscribe and follow me on my various social media accounts. All the links will be in the description below. I'll be uploading my April wrap up and May TBR very, very soon if it's not already up. And I will see you guys very, very soon. So bye.